Hey all, Kunik here, back with another D&D horror story for you today. In this story, OP is running a brand new campaign for 4 brand new players, and one of them in particular comes in with very outlandish expectations of the campaign and rage quits. I won't spoil any more, so without further ado, let's roll for initiative and get on with the story. So, in order to help a friend get introduced into D&D, I agreed to run a heavily modified version of the Death House. And obviously I didn't call it that, for them and a couple of others. And side note here, for anyone who is unaware of what Death House is, it's generally considered to be a very well put together story that is great for low level characters, so for a new group it makes perfect sense. I modified everything to set up a series of tutorial like scenarios to help newbies get to grips with different aspects of D&D, like combat, skill checks, saves, roleplay opportunities, etc. I framed the whole thing as a haunting to appeal to horror fans like my friend. I expected this to take about 3 or 4 sessions. We got together another 3 people off Roll20 for a solid 4-man group with me DMing. All were newbies, eager to learn / improve. I thought we'd be good. The only thing close to a red flag I had was during introductions. One player, whom we'll call F, spent a bit too much time going on about how their paladin was a paragon of goodness and justice. I don't mind people talking about their characters, but there's usually a point where they're done. Anyway, session 1 went actually really good. They took their time, talked with the NPCs in the town they started in, and accepted the tasks of investigating the nearby woods pretty damn organically. They got to the house without issue, rescuing a wounded ranger on the way, a DM NPC I admit, but they had a specific purpose to help, since the party lacked a bit of damage output, and I planned to specifically let them have the spotlight. F was eager to engage with the NPCs they met, and I had to indulge things a little bit because they insisted on practically interrogating every NPC on their life story, even when the rest of the party wanted to move along. They kept pestering the ranger and the other players with personal questions. We ended session 1 with them having explored the entirety of the first floor, and I took a moment to ask them what they thought of the game and the adventure so far. Everyone was pretty happy about it so far, until F spoke up and said they were going to drop out. I asked why, wanting to try and improve things for them. There's not a single LGBTQ plus NPC or player. I feel isolated. I don't like interacting with any of them so far. It was incredibly confusing for me because, to be honest, I hadn't given NPCs that much fleshing out. Pulling quirks and traits out of thin air as they talked and not wanting to make anyone uncomfortable. I had them dodge every deeply personal question the player asked. They quit the Discord while we were all discussing this, and I just felt weirded out by the whole thing. The other 3 people wanted to keep going, and I'm thinking of having the Ranger DM NPC pick up the Paladin's gear to do the tanking and modify the future fights. I'm just really bummed out about this and still weirded out because it really came out of nowhere. End post. Okay, my first thoughts on this whole thing is, where in the world did the player F, get in his or her head that the NPCs in games would be LGBTQ+. I suspect they just went in anticipating that the world would cater to themselves versus being organically created. And considering that the game was for brand new players, as a DM, it makes sense that he wouldn't have put much thought into the NPCs. The whole point is to teach these guys how to play and get them progressing into more interesting stories down the road. But yeah, I don't have much else to add to this. I do like how in the comments there was a post that said, "Mate, I think you need to look at this less as losing a player and more like dodging a bullet." And I can't agree more than that. If the player failed to communicate what their expectations were and then effectively rage quit after the first session, yeah, OP dodged a bullet here. Anyhow, that concludes this story. If you liked it and want to see more videos just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon to be notified, as well as hitting the like button next to them just to let the YouTube algorithm know and hopefully push this story to new audiences. As always, the source of this story is in the description below, and if you'd like to discuss it, feel free to hit us up in the comments and we'll be sure to chat about it there. Alright, and while you're waiting for a new video to come out, here are a few other videos from my channel that you can watch in the meantime.